It is warm.
Isn't it? Yeah, we got the AC way up. That's good.
You feel cold?
I should try to get Joel up here. He can sit in our place, right? Come to a meeting. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Right here. I'll come by. Right up here.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, it's 6:01 now. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a motion to approve the agenda. Second. Motion by Dan and a second by Steve to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We do have, I should mention, we do have Val Hogback is absent tonight. She'll not be with us. Next on the agenda is council workshop report. Workshop held Monday, May 20th, 2013. The members present were Eckhart, Hogback, Lukensmeyer, Harms, Prawley, and Jim Davies. Also present were myself, City Manager Ron Dunt, Public Works Director Doug Tarr, Police Chief Bob Schaefer, and Aquatic Center Manager Bradley Waddle. Pledge of Allegiance cited. Offered time for public comment. There was none. Chief Schaefer requested the council give consideration to purchasing and installing a security camera system for Progress Park to alleviate some issues taking place in the park and to deter vandalism. Diane Weldon stated she had experienced some older children intimidating younger children on the playground as well. The chief will get updated costs and report back to the council at a future meeting. He will also encourage the school to assist with educating the youth of the proper use of the playground. Doug gave an update on the increasing tree debris at the brush site. Given the volume of material, it is not feasible to have staff separate the current piles. The city could have a company grind the material after July 1st, 2013, so staff can have a clean slate to then begin separation of future material brought to the site. Council also indicated after the grinding process is complete, they may consider directing staff to begin doing frequent small burning of twigs and sticks that cannot be chipped into mulch. Neighboring property owners will be notified prior to any burning should they decide to burn. City employees Jim Card and Randy Greavy offered input on the brush site issues as well. The city encourages anyone interested in picking up branches or logs for firewood to contact City Hall. Ron reminded the council that the current 50-cent compost fee on water bill customers is not a sufficient fee to pay for ongoing brush grinding services, and the council needs to decide if there will be a fee increase to fund brush removal and grinding services. Council then heard a request from Aquatic Center Manager Bradley Waddle regarding wages for lifeguards, manager, assistant manager, and swim team coaches. Bradley recommended paying the swim team coaches a salary instead of an hourly wage. After much discussion, the consensus was to have the wages placed on the May 23rd council agenda for consideration. Councilman Davies requested council consideration of purchase and installation of a drinking water fountain for Progress Park. Staff will obtain pricing and report back to the council at a future meeting. Councilman Lukensmeyer gave a status update on attending the Franklin County Supervisors meeting that day. He indicated that the supervisors would agree to let transferring dispatchers retain some seniority, but not all. There was much discussion regarding the seniority and accrual of benefits the employees would be obtaining. In the end, the council consensus was that the agreement should state that the current dispatch employees shall be hired and shall retain full seniority. They directed Ron to draft changes into the agreement and place on the May 23rd, 2013 council agenda for consideration. Ron explained that the final invoice was received from the Iowa DOT for the final construction reimbursement for the Highway 65 project in the amount of $86,088.10. will be considered at the May 23rd, 2013 council meeting with no other business to discuss. I concluded the meeting at 7:09 p.m. Okay. Any public comment at this time? Okay. Seeing none. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing regarding proposed amendment of current city budget fiscal year 2013. It being the time and place for public hearing in regard to proposed amendment of current city budget fiscal year 2013, I'll open the public hearing at 6:05 p.m. And I'll have City Manager Dunn review the details.
Thank you, Mayor. This will be on the teal page, which is a resolution that will be considered later in the meeting for review purpose for the public hearing. The middle column represents the column that the numbers we are amending for. The top half is the revenues, the revenue changes. We've got some revenues going up, some going down. We've got a net change of minus $4,689,042. Majority of that is because of the anticipated wastewater treatment plant bonding revenue will not take place in this fiscal year. That's a substantial portion of that. Expenditures, some increasing, some going down. The largest one again is under business type activities at $5.3 million. That's related to the wastewater treatment plant construction not beginning in this fiscal year. The net difference is positive $71,500 for the total current amendment. This is resolution 2013-09. This has been published, and Mayor, I would turn over to you for any public comment.
Okay. Anyone in attendance with any comment on the amendment? Okay. Were there any comments received in writing, email, phone?
No.
All right. There's no public comment then. We will close the public hearing at 6:06. We have no old business. New business tonight, we have Kim Manning here with the Hampton Public Library.
I want to start out by talking to you about the parking lot and the lawn area directly adjacent east of the library. I had a meeting with the foundation and preliminary discussion was good. I think they are going to go ahead and concrete or pave that parking lot, put in some landscaping, put in an outdoor reading and Wi-Fi area for patrons to use after hours or during hours if they want to be outside. We've not gotten a bid yet. We are working with Main Street and Chamber, and we have an electrical bid because the bid for the electrical also includes smoke detectors that would bring to the police station if there were a fire after hours. The electrical bid was $60,000 for all electricity to light the building from the outside and make it safer from break-ins. And then, like I said, then we would put in these smoke detectors that would ring directly to whoever is taking the dispatch calls. I know there's some discussion on that too. So that is looking pretty positive. I am expecting, Larry has bid this job before. The foundation has looked at this before. In about 2007, I think they looked at it, and that was going to be $50,000 to concrete that parking lot. So I don't know how much concrete's gone up in the last 5 years, but I'm sure we're looking at more than $50,000. Plus, then we'd be looking at all the pavers. The reason we're talking about pavers instead of a poured concrete is because we would want to be able to retain the ability to pull it up and reuse it somewhere else. It's greener than if we pour concrete, pull that up, it's done. So, you know, in the event, if we would ever add on to the library, that is exactly where we would add on at. And we would be digging down anyway. So we are trying to look ahead if that were ever to happen. The other reason we're digging down is because we have, just like the courthouse, I think the courthouse, I'm being proactive. I don't think we really have a leaking issue. We do. We know that our foundation on the northeast corner is leaking into the bookshelves behind the built-in bookshelves. Our books are starting to smell musty. We've tried to seal the bookshelves and that's not really working. So that we were going to have to dig this out anyway and see what's going on now. We're going to do it. We might as well make something pretty out of it then. So The only concerns I have, you know, Main Street has provided $1,200 worth of plans that were drawn up by a person who specializes, I don't believe he's an architect, he's a designer, who specializes with historical buildings. So, I feel safe, but you know, whenever you uncover the foundation of a 100-year-old building, who knows? I've tried to look under there. We have just small gaps, and you can see that it's, I think it's limestone rock, so I'm a little concerned about what we'll find, but one way or the other, we have to dig that up, so. There's also some concern about some of the windows in the round area, the sashes are starting to sag, so we'll have to look at that. And Ron, I wanted to ask you, and I came over the other day, and I forgot to ask you, you've had community service workers working on our air conditioner that was, now, is that done, do you think?
I don't know, I don't think so. Doug, is it?
It's about as good as we can
Yeah.
get with the tools that are available.
Yeah.
So I
We
wondered-
can't get it back to the way it was, yeah.
I'm wondering then, should I go ahead and call Hampton Heating and have them put a grate around it so that it doesn't happen again? Because that's what they said should have been done originally, but it wasn't,
Yeah. Well, let me
Murphy's.
get together with Doug and we'll get up to speed on what's been done and what we should do.
Okay. So the reason I'm talking to you about the parking lot and the reading area is because, of course, the foundation bought that property, but they deeded it over to the city of Hampton. So I'm wondering, are there any concerns that you have? Do you feel pro about the foundation taking on a project like this? They are going to do a fundraiser, but until we get Larry's bid, we don't know what we're going to set for an amount to try to fundraise. Also, they made a commercial, the high school made a commercial for the gym, and it's my understanding from the high school that you might possibly run that at the theater for us.
Yeah, we could.
So anybody have any feelings on the parking lot outside area?
This included a door then to the east, correct?
The whole
Or is
point of
what-
it, it's called Children for Children's Safety, and the whole point of it is there's no point in having a parking lot back there if there's not a door into the library back there. So yes, this would include a door directly into the children's department. So mostly this is going to be used by parents and children. I don't think it'll be used by most adults. They'll still park across the street or in the post office's parking lot and come in through the front door. But this would eliminate parents and daycare providers from having to cross that busy street right in front of the library when they're coming for children's programming. So I think it's one of the best ideas we've had in a long time. I think it's gonna look better. I do get some comments. I've actually already got a $25,000 anonymous donation. She wishes to remain anonymous if the project moves forward. She wants to see it happen. She thinks it's an eyesore. When you see the commercial that the high school made for us, it really shows that it's kind of an eyesore. So I just want to make sure I have, your approval before we keep proceeding here. It's your property.
One question I know has been asked, has it been addressed yet as far as the historical status of the library? Is it within the programs to be able to make a new entrance, and does that affect the historical status of the library?
The library is not on the historical registry, the register of historical places. So we pretty much have free reign.
Okay, I thought in the previous discussions there was,
No.
that was the
That's
issue.
never been done. It's not on the registry. That is something we can look at doing sometime. It's my understanding there's quite a lot of red tape involved in that. And then, yes, we would have probably some stricter guidelines we would have to go by. We're actually not changing the structure of the library, hardly at all. We're not putting any outside, any easement or roof or anything on the outside of the building. All we're doing is putting a door where a window exists now. And so the door would be no wider than the window is. And we would have to take out a little section of bookshelves, and that would make it possible for us to put coat racks in, which is something else we've really needed because the kids are just throwing their coats in a big pile. That's never a very hygienic manner to store coats. So this is an all-win all the way around for me. I mean, I can't think where there's hardly anything unless we, but I guess if we do have structural issues, we need to know it. If we've got moisture leaking, then obviously we've got something going on. So.
Another question I would have is the door that's presently on the east side of the library, or on the north side, I'm sorry, north side of the library. would that remain in place when you close that off?
That remains in place as a fire exit only. We do not use that door to come in and out. We would only use that as a fire exit. That's all it is.
Just wondering if you could use wall, if this went through, if you could use that wall space then for more books and other things and use the east door as the fire escape.
The problem
Very
with-
limited space.
Yes, the problem would be that we have steps that lead up to that door. That door is at a higher level than the new door would be at. And so it would involve taking all of that concrete out, all those concrete steps, taking the door out, replastering all of that. It would end up being quite a project inside the library, I think, quite expensive. I did have somebody look at it the other day, and he did tell me that the outside walls of the library are concrete. And you can't drive nail. You can't. So, you know, I think taking those out would be a nightmare. Plus, we kind of use it as theater seating when we have a program, you know, because the steps do rise up and then people can sit on it and actually see over each other. So it kind of serves a useful purpose. So we're not looking at changing anything inside other than we would have to move some bookshelves. But for a town this size, we have 10,000 books down there. We can afford to move some books around and make it work. That's not going to be a big deal either. So I guess we'll proceed then, unless somebody.
Doug, do you have a comment?
I just wanted to ask one thing, Kim, if, about the parking lot, I think the city would wanna be involved a little bit to know about the design of that, because we do snow removal and such
Yes.
there. Pavers are sometimes make things a little more difficult, drainage, and then, just a few odds and ends. So I just think as that progresses, we would probably wanna be involved with some of that and.
I know
looking
Larry
at it,
Adams came and did all the measuring, and he said it's 30 parking spots. 2 would be handicapped, and it could only be 1 entrance and exit in a parking lot that size. Right now, it would have 3. There's the alley, then there's another one, and then there's
Right,
the one you keep.
and I think we just wanna know kind of how that's gonna go, and the other thing is like out here at the city's parking lot, staff does have more of a difficult time. It takes twice as long probably to push it as it does if it doesn't have islands or decorative stuff, you know, in the middle of it. I know it looks nice, but, you know, some of those different things probably need to be discussed with different departments.
I do have the preliminary plans in my office. You
Be
want me
great to
come
see them.
you, or?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I just think it'd be good to look at that kind of
Yes,
thing.
I have the preliminary plans. I just don't have Larry's yet, but I do have preliminaries, so I'll bring them in.
All right,
All right,
thanks.
thank you. And we want to make sure we do this right.
You don't have an estimate yet?
Not from Larry. I just have the electric estimate, the electric bill of 16,000. We would be putting 4 lights. There's another problem. 4 historical looking lights in each corner of the parking lot needs to be well lit. The problem, the bid I got is for the matching lights that are in the city park. The problem with the city park lights is they're really not, you know, they're more for a decorative reason. We actually have to have a function here. We have to be able to light up so no one backs over somebody else's child. So we'd be looking at something that would shine down more. Susie posted some historical pictures of the library on our Facebook page just today. Was that today, Susie?
Yeah.
And I noticed there was a picture of what the lighting used to look like. And I know I was in Des Moines the other day, and I saw something that did shine down instead of out and up. It actually shone down, and that's what we'd be looking for. So that electrical bid might go down, might go up. But we would have to put 4 lights in there, so. It's really quite an attractive plan that Main Street did. And like I said, the plan was worth $1,200, and of course, then we made some changes to it. But yes, I'll get together with Doug, that's no problem. The other thing I'm here about tonight, of course, is the budget. The last time I was here, I dropped off some forms about librarians as city employees. And I wondered, did anybody get a chance to look at those? It was from the state library, and it was the Iowa Attorney General's opinion from March 18, 1976. I think, do we have a clear understanding that librarians are city employees, and the library is a city administrative agency? Got that figured out?
I think the most, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, the library is audited under the city's.
Right,
The
Okay.
council doesn't have any say in your expenditures or revenue.
right. And so I think the point there being, if the city offers benefits to some city employees but not others, that would be discriminatory. That means that my library board of trustees, at the minimum, has to give the city librarians the same raise as other city employees. If they didn't, they would be opening the city up to a lawsuit for discrimination. So that means that my library board of trustees, and Kathy Peterson is here tonight from my library board, in the past, they've been criticized sometimes for giving the librarians the same raise, saying, well, you're taking it out of the book budget. Well, turns out that's exactly what they should have been doing. Well, it'd be nice if we didn't have to take it out of the book budget, but they were right in keeping the librarians' raises along the same percentage as the other city employees' raises. The other problem we're having with the budget is we get state money. We don't get a lot of state money, but to get that state money, the library has to stay accredited, and that's done every 3 years. I'm responsible for that. If we do not stay at the tier we're at right now, our state funding will go down. To be at the tier we're at right now, 10% of our budget has to go to materials. And we're not at that right now because our book budget is at a historical low. And it's the book budget, the audiovisual budget that we would be looking at, and the periodical budget. Those are materials items. I gave you a copy of the funding history of the city of Hampton, of the library. And then I also gave you a budget, the proposed budget for 2013, 2014, if we get an increase from you and if we don't get an increase from you. And if we don't get an increase from the city, you can see that the book budget will stay at $14,000, which is what we're operating under this year. Luckily this year, our utility bill is going to have some money left over in that line item that we will relate to the books. So at this point, we are ordering some overdue orders for books that we should have sent in actually months ago. If we don't order the books in a timely manner, if we don't order the new fiction when the new fiction's coming out, we're going to have to pay a higher price for it if we wait. Right now, we get a 40% discount if we order it when we're supposed to be ordering it. If we wait, then we have to pay a higher price for that same book. So as librarians, you know, we're looking at a book budget in order to keep the materials. It's just like a business. If we don't have the new books, patrons can go to another library. They don't have to use their own library where they pay taxes. They can go to the Mason City Public Library if that's what they want. They can go to the Humboldt Library where every time they have 5 people on a waiting list for one title, they get to buy a second copy of that book because their book budget is so large. So if you look at the other, Dick here wanted you all to see, and I typed it up trying to make it easier. This copy that you got here is a copy of the annual survey that's on the State Library's website. You can look at it anytime you want to, if you can find it. And the librarian and I have a hard time finding it. But I did put the website at the top. And you can see that they're looking at all the funding. And I've tried to break down the city funding per capita. And I don't know if you noticed, but the library fun fact was the library not so fun fact, where the city of Hampton is at the 14th percentile for funding of their public library. And the county is at the 100th percentile.
Kim, it says 105,000, but in reality, we contribute 80,000 plus another 44,000 roughly for insurance, health insurance, property liability, another 27,000 for the levy that goes to that's property taxes that we collect and it goes towards the
Right.
library. That's about 151,000. I'm wondering what the.
But there are all rules in how you can put that information in this annual survey, and the levy cannot count. The levy cannot count as city fund.
Well,
Because it's a separate thing that they voted on to be taxed extra, am I not correct?
yes, but the 80,000 that we contribute is taxed in the same manner
And
as a levy.
that's in the amount. The 80,000 is in there, and the amount for the health insurance is in there.
Okay, in reality, the city funds closer to $150,000 as opposed to 105, and I just wondered where the other is accounted for, but you're saying it's not in there.
There are certain ways that you have to report this.
Okay.
And I'm just following the rules.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so is all the other cities that report on their annual survey. So that is where that comes from. And unfortunately, I saw when I copied it that it didn't show. There are 48 D-size libraries that serve a community from 2,500 to 4,999. And if you get on the website, you know, there's all kinds of information on there that you can see about your library and other libraries and compare. And that's all filled out by the directors of all the various libraries. And the directors of all the various libraries, we get together at least quarterly and discuss all the different issues that libraries face. And so the last time, I'm the chair of that group right now, and the last meeting I was at, there was 12 libraries there. And of the 12, Hampton was the only one that does not, how do I say this? They don't fund raises automatically. Don't give the library automatically the money they need to give the same raises as the other city employees. And that was, I'm looking at Charles City, Algona, Clear Lake, Clarion, Garner, Forest City, Osage, Fort Dodge, Eldora, and Belmont. Angie at Webster City was there. Webster City is just their own thing. The only thing the city pays for them is their electricity. They've been left several farms, and they operate completely independently. So I didn't count them in because they're just, you know. So I wanted to make sure we had that right. The other thing I brought was, I gave you this last time I was here. It's a list of the periodicals that we had to cancel, periodicals being another word for magazines. That was $880 we slashed from the budget, and then we slashed $3,863 from the book budget, which is about 200 children and adult books. And then I put on the bottom this time the other things that we're not even talking about buying. And one of them would be the e-magazines. Almost all libraries our size are putting in e-magazines at this point. I don't even really think about it because I know it's not in our budget. I mean, and if we continue like this, like I said, they'll just go to other libraries because they can, and because that library offers what we aren't. We also don't have our own e-books. The only e-books we own are part of a consortium with 50 other libraries at least. And most libraries like Humboldt, they're buying their own e-books as well as being a participant in Neighbors. And so their patrons have, their community has e-books that are dedicated just to their community, that aren't being thrown out into the consortium of 50 libraries. So that's another downfall we have. The other thing is that I've heard a lot of concern about make sure the Hispanics are using the library. Well, right now there would be no reason for the Hispanics to use the library because we don't buy any Spanish-only books. I don't have a book budget for that. I don't even consider it. We buy some bilingual children's books, but anything we have where we have an adult who wants to read something, it's not like that group of people is not in the library because they are. They're using the internet and they're using the DVD collection and they ask us for books and we have to get them from another library for them because we just don't have a budget that would allow us to buy that. Recently, and I'm sure you don't know this, but Marshalltown went to Washington DC and was given an award for their work with the Hispanic population and how they've reached out. We should be doing a Spanish-only story time. I would have to hire somebody to do that. We've tried to get volunteers, we've tried to get high schoolers that are taking Spanish. We have beat the bushes and we cannot find anybody that wants to do it for no charge. So that's another service we're not providing. So I think we have some serious, we're kind of just between a rock and a hard place right now. We can hope that next year, the heat bills don't go up, natural gas doesn't go up, and our heat bills go up, because if it does, we are really actually going to be stuck with a $14,000 book budget. And like I said, we're already not buying the books we should be buying, even though we could take from the heat line item this year. So I just thought I should come make that a little more clear. I do think, we have some improved communication starting, but we really need to keep that communication going. Like I need to meet with Doug off the parking lot. And, we need to. I worked at the pool. That was a city agency too, and it was just different. This is very different feeling to me. I never was nervous to come and give a report. Here, I always feel like I'm in the hot seat, and it's some kind of trouble. you know, I don't feel part of the city, I should say. There are a lot of city directors that go to your departmental meetings in their community. I don't even know when the departmental meetings are, to be honest. So, I just wanted to make sure we had this clear. Sean, I know you mentioned that possibly the budget could be amended. As the director of the Hampton City Library, I would highly suggest. We're only asking for $5,000. It can make such a difference for us. It doesn't take a huge amount of money to run a good library, like water treatment and streets takes, when you're talking millions of dollars. But it does take an investment by the city. It is your library. It is the Hampton Public Library. We just had, probably 1,000 kids go through on tours, because the school is very concerned as well about the reading levels of our diverse culture, you know, making sure the kids' reading levels are up. Well, the only way their reading levels are gonna stay up is if they read over the summer. Well, the only place they've got to get books over the summer is the public library, the school library's closed. So we do serve a purpose 12 months a year. We serve from 0 all the way to 99, which the public, obviously the school library doesn't do. So, you know, we're helping them out and they help us out. There's a lot of children's books published every year, 5,000. We don't even scratch the surface on purchasing 5,000 books for children. So the library and the school's partner. She can look on the internet what the library has, and if she don't have a book and a child asking for it, then she sends them to the public library.
I'd ask you to bring this chart with you. I went to the last, well, maybe not the last board meeting,
But you went to a board meeting,
yeah,
yes.
6 weeks ago.
Yes.
Okay. And you provided us with this chart that basically is the D category, the 48 libraries, the D category. And the breakdown of the chart is the city income that Ron referred to, that there's about 50 more thousand or 45 more thousand, and it's not reflected in here, but.
And that's probably, yes, referred.
And then there's county income, there's state income, there's other government income, and it seems quite, then there are non-government income sources. And one thing that stuck out to me, and I think I asked you that question, was, like, we're at 8,000, a little over 8,000, and as I counted those out, Hampton, amongst those 48, Hampton would be from the bottom up 20th, so they're in the bottom half as far as those particular things. That particular form of income, the non-government income. I'm wondering if there isn't something, and yes, we're past the budget point at this time, it'd have to be an amendment, but I'm just wondering if there isn't something to get some participation. I'd be willing to participate if there isn't something. A one-day event, a fundraiser, beef burgers and chips in the city park that maybe would net 5,000 or 6,000. So I'm just wondering, some of these are 14,000, 14,000, 13, 19,000, 21,000, 22,000, 18, 19,000, 36,000, 25,000, 24,000. Just wondering, maybe there's a missing link here, something that we can do in Hampton, mirroring what's being done in another community, to really raise some extra funds.
If it's non-government, it's either a grant or it's a private donation. A lot of libraries don't have foundations. Some libraries do, some libraries don't. If you don't have a foundation, then anybody who wants to bequeath you your will is going to have to leave it to the library. That's why the foundation was formed in the 80s, so that it doesn't get left to the library directly, it gets left to the foundation, who hires investors to invest the money, make it grow. But some libraries do not have that. So that, and grants. You know, sometimes, this is not a poor county, so we don't always qualify for a lot of grants. We did not qualify for the second round of Gates computers that a lot of communities did. We qualified for the first round, but when it went around the second time, this is too wealthy of a county to qualify. So when you're looking at non-government, you could be looking at a lot of different things there, and you'd actually have to contact the state library, and they could probably shed some light on that.
See, that's what I'm wondering, and I'm for the library. I think it's an important part of our community, but if there's a simple call by you to the state to actually focus on some of these things, to find out what these sources are, maybe there is a source there that would be a trigger for us that we could pick up 5, 6, 7, 8,000.
Why my recommendation to the foundation was, we just got left $106,000. Let's do something with it. Let's not put it in an account. I know it's, you know, you have investors, they love to see that money grow. I would like to see something happen with the money, because I think more people will give you money if they see you do something with the money, other than just grow some big portfolio. You know, we need to do something, and that is screaming, it needs to be done. The alley, it's all broken up, the pavement's all broken up, there's potholes, we have a dead tree back there that's causing problems, that big limb fell off this winter. You know, so I am all about, and when the foundation pays for that, that will show up in that non-governmental, because that'll have to be on my budget, that will have to be on the annual survey, that we did that. So that's what you're seeing, and Dow's just did it. Dow's just added a little concrete patio, and you know, you have to look, that's why the state library groups us by size, because what's happening in Des Moines is not gonna happen in Hampton, but what's happening in Hampton is not gonna happen in Dow's. Dow's just did a little one with a nice picnic table and some flower and flower pots. You know, we're looking at something bigger here.
We're talking a one-time event to help solve this problem for this year. That's what I'm talking about.
Just not to interrupt or anything, but I think I'd just remind that, I think we were reminded by the state library gal at the last meeting that the council is really not supposed to have a whole lot of input as to how the library spends their money, or from what I gathered, raise their money. The council's input is strictly a dollar amount, and that's codified in the state of Iowa. I would like to, in the interest of time, go around and just kind of, I guess, see what the council members' feelings are about the request tonight. We've spent the better part of a half hour here, and thank you for your conversation, but I'd like to hear council's thinking, I guess, so.
My time's used up.
Yep, you're done for the whole meeting. Jim, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just concerned that we keep our accreditation.
Yes.
And if I'm hearing what you're saying is that we are very much at risk for losing that, and a lot of that stems from the dollars that we give.
Yes.
So, I mean, that would be my concern. And I think what I hear Dick saying is that instead of, let's say, the city coming up with that, let's say that $5,000 in another way, I think that's what you're saying, right? Okay.
You really should fundraise for daily operational expense. The state library would not recommend that.
Right, and I can certainly understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Diane?
Jim and I have had that discussion a couple times on a special fundraising, and we brainstormed a little bit, but haven't really come up with anything. Just one other comment I want to make is that the council has had a lot of discussion lately with our dispatch employees on as far as rewarding them or keeping employees for their experience. And I guess I would consider, I don't want to lose library employees either. To me, they're part of the city. I don't want to lose their experience. And when we were kind of setting precedents that we're going to reward dispatch, so maybe we need to remember that here too.
Craig?
I agree with Dick. I'd like to see us do, or some type of a fundraiser take place that could help shore up their shortage. I wouldn't see, I can't speak for the State Library Board, obviously, but I can't see what they would care how you get the money, as long as the money's there and it can fortify their budget.
Part of the state library's role, though, is to hold cities accountable. That is part
I
of
think
their
we're being
role.
accountable, yeah.
Well, you're at the 14th
I think we're being accountable in the fact that as a council, we weighed very heavily whether or not to buy a new police car. We didn't do that either, and we all agreed 6-0 that the library is very important, but we had to draw some lines someplace. And not everything's going to be popular that we do.
Right, but when
We
you're
just
at
hope that you understand that.
14th percentile, I think you need to look seriously at where are your priorities.
Thank you, Mayor.
And education and culture should be a priority too.
I
And it
understand.
hasn't been for years, really. If you look in the past, if you look at that sheet I gave you about the over the year funding from 1980, what you see there is sometimes is going exactly like it should go, where all the library needs to ask the city for is the money to give the raises, and that's all we need to ask for. And the rest of it, we work on ourselves, we write grants. I just got a $3,000 computer installed the other day that I wrote a grant for. The computer cost $3,500, I asked for 2 of them, I only got one. I told them I had $3,000, that was all I had, they gave it to me anyway. So we do fundraising every year, book sales, bake sales. We do all that. No, all libraries do. But daily operation funding has to come from the city and the county. That's the only place it can come. And I got an increase from everybody this year, except the city.
Steve?
I'm not for any type of budget amendment, period, unless it's an absolute necessity that something is broke and we need to fix it in order for the city to be maintained. I am with Dick and Craig when it comes to a fundraiser. I want to fix the problem without doing a budget amendment. And so far as raises are concerned, we were in the middle of a negotiation with the union, so we didn't know what was going to be negotiated, okay? So therefore, we really can't come forward and give you a percentage raise or money for a percentage raise. It really just doesn't, it's not appropriate.
No, you'd be just giving me an increase and the board of trustees would decide what to do with the increase. You're
Yeah,
right.
well, you said though, but it was going to match whatever the city got, you
It
guys
has to,
get.
yes.
That's right, so
Mhm.
you don't know what that is yet, because we're still negotiating that.
But whatever it is, we'll certainly abide by it.
Go ahead.
With that, thank you.
Thank you.
There was one more question. You asked for, originally for 5,000, you backed down to 20, did I misunderstand? You backed down to 25 and we're back to 5?
I originally asked for 5 and it's still 5. 2,500 would probably go towards raises depending on the negotiations, and 2,500 would go to shore up the book budget. If the negotiations are smaller than 2,500, whatever extra we don't need in salaries, we would automatically put back into the book budget.
Okay. Is there any action the council wishes to take with this time? Any motions? Okay. No action. Next item on the agenda then is consideration of approval of farmland lease agreement between the city of Hampton and Don Bosberg for airport ag land rent. Ron, Doug, do you have the?
Thank you, Mayor. Just in brief, we did have a bidding process, and Don Bosberg was the high bidder, and thus you have farm lease in front of you. Pretty happy about the way that bid turned out in the process, and I think he is too, and I think we're ready to turn it over for a few years, and hopefully he can get some good crops off there.
This is a 3-year lease. Land around the airport. It's 38 acres more or less, and his bid was $8,626 per year.
Any questions?
How does this compare with like last year's amount?
If I remember, I believe it was higher.
You know how much? Remember?
I think close to a couple thousand, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Doug, was there a lot of interest? Did you get?
We
lots of
actually
bids?
did this year. It was, I believe we had 4 or 5 different bidders this year. So, yeah, good turnout. Way better than in years past.
That's right, thank you.
And we have to limit it to 18 inches in height, just confirm that.
Right, yep, that we have.
Because of 18 inches.
Yep, and there's more stipulations in it this year, and we got more interest, worked out.
Any more questions for you? If there's no other questions, then I entertain a motion then.
Move to approve farm lease agreement.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Steve and a second by Craig to approve the farmland lease agreement between Don Bosberg and the city of Hampton. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Next is consideration of approval of final payment to Iowa DOT for Highway 65 Improvements Project Agreement 2007-16-149, contract 26950, in the amount of $86,088.10. I'll refer comment to City Manager Dunt.
Thank you. Pretty self-explanatory. DOT paid contractor, they invoiced us throughout the project, and then we paid them our portion. This is the final invoice. The auditing process has all been done by the Iowa DOT. It's taken months and months, and this is our final payment, $86,088.10. Thank you.
Any questions? Entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Craig and a second by Diane to approve the final payment to Iowa DOT for the Highway 65 Improvements Project in the amount of $86,088.10. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of approval of proposed wages for the 2013 Aquatic Center employees. I'll refer comments to City Manager Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. This was discussed at the workshop, and the wages would be set at manager would be $11.25 an hour, assistant manager $9 an hour, swim team head coach a flat $400 for the season, swim team assistant coach flat $300 for the season. Returning lifeguards would be, if they are returning from the prior year, they would get a 10-cent per hour increase, which has been standard for the past number of years. Any questions?
If no questions, then I'd ask for a motion.
So moved.
Approve the wages.
The raises.
I'll second.
Motion by Dick and a second by Jim to approve the proposed wages for the 2013 Aquatic Center employees. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is consideration of tentative agreements between City of Hampton and Teamsters Local 238 for union contracts. I'll refer comment to City Manager Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. Proposed tentative agreement between the City of Hampton and Teamsters Local 238 Police Department employees, 3-year agreement, 2013 to 2016. The changes would be, there's an address change for the Teamsters, moving from Mesa City to Cedar Rapids. Duration is going to be 3 years, as I previously stated. 13 to 2016. Wage rates, current employees would be increased as follows. Year 1, 2.5%. Year 2, 1%. Year 3, 1%. The second agreement is with Public Works employees. Address change again, 3-year contract as well, and same wage rate changes, 2.5% year 1, 1% year 2, 1% year 3. Questions?
Questions on that? If there's none, I'd ask for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Craig and a second by Steve to approve the, we've got to do this separately right now. So first
Yeah.
would be the police department employees.
That was Craig and
Craig on the motion, Steve on the second. Is there any discussion? Vote then. Hogback is absent. Davies?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Harms?
Aye.
Lukenblatt?
Aye.
Raleigh?
Aye.
Motion carries. And also I'll need a motion for the public works employees.
So moved to approve.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion by Diane and a second by Dick to accept the proposed tentative agreement for the public works employees. Any further discussion? Hearing none, have the vote. Harms?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Raleigh?
Aye.
Davies?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Hogback is absent. Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of claims submitted by staff tonight in the amount of $165,386.39. If there's a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Steve and a second by Dick to approve the claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of approval and adoption Resolution 2013-09, a resolution amending current budget for fiscal year ending June 2013. Need a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
To approve. Motion by Craig, do I have a second?
Second. Go ahead.
Diane on the second. Motion by Craig and a second by Diane to approve and adopt Resolution 2013-09. Any discussion? The vote, Crowley,
Aye.
Eckhart,
Aye.
Hoggback is absent, Harms,
Aye.
Luckensmeyer,
Aye.
Davies.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Next is Resolution 2013-10. This is a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement between Franklin County, Iowa, City of Hampton, Iowa, and Franklin County, Iowa Emergency Management Commission for the establishment of Franklin County Emergency Communications Center. For any comments to say that you're done?
Thank you. This copy in front of you is a revised, it's a revised edition of what was tabled to implement some of the suggestions that you had previously pointed out. There's some highlighting in yellow and blue. I guess I'd start with the changes on page 3. The first yellow one, the EMC, that's I think a typo that Mike Cross pointed out that we should change from the word commission to EMC to be more specific. EMC was meant to be the commission, but he thought it'd be better to point that out. And then C, that is somewhat of a redundant sentence that was put in, but it's addressed later on in the agreement, so suggesting that can be deleted. Yes.
The word commission appears one more time in that paragraph. Should that be changed also to EMC? 2 sentences down.
Sure, can do that. Thank you, Dick. As you desire to have the seniority fully transferred over and to correlate with vacation and sick leave and things like that, the new proposed wording is in yellow, and the stricken language from the old agreement is stricken under C. The effective date, the supervisors indicated that realistically things would not be ready to go by July 1st of 2013. And they felt that the end of September was more realistic, so that date was utilized. Effective on or before September 30th, 2013, every Hampton Emergency Dispatch employee shall be transferred to and employed by EMC and shall be compensated by Hampton for any accrued but unused vacation by Hampton at the time of transfer. Such employees shall be credited by the EMC with such employees' years of continuous service with the City of Hampton for seniority purposes, and shall be entitled to and receive the same benefits, including pay, sick leave, vacation, insurance, and other benefits, pay, as any other county employee in the same manner or similar category having such seniority. This next sentence, however, vacation time shall not exceed 5 weeks annually for any such transferred employee. Just to address that issue, that was discussed when Diane and Dick and I were there, and the supervisors indicated that the county vacation schedule has a cap of 6 weeks. The city has 5 weeks, so it was their concern that these transferring employees wouldn't exceed what they are currently getting with the city. So that's something in there that the council is you need to consider as well. But it's currently in there as, however, vacation time shall not exceed 5 weeks annually for any such transferred employee. These provisions shall remain in force and survive after the termination of this agreement for all transferred employees until all such transferred employees have voluntarily resigned, retired, or have been terminated for cause. And then following in the D and E are paragraphs that were in there, the reference to 1/2 of the sick leave that the city was offering due to the fact that in the initial stages of negotiations, the county was not allowing any transfer of seniority, and as well with the vacation. So that wording is there to be decided on tonight. And then under 6, basically Mike Cross's suggestion, a legal clarification that 28Es are required to be filed with the Secretary of State, so he wanted us to add that wording in there as well. So what I would recommend, and we'll hear from Mike Cross too, if anybody has any questions, is that for this evening, you would consider these items and consider making a motion to amend the agreement that you tabled to show these changes. And then if you get a second, then you would discuss and vote on those amendments. And then you would then have another motion and a second discussion and a vote on considering the approval of the adopted or of the amended agreement. So, and then what you could suggested wording would be approving the amended agreement, directing the city manager and city attorney to make such approved amendments to the agreement and authorizing the mayor to sign the amended agreement. Does anybody have any questions for me, or we can bring Mike up to answer any questions as well?
Yeah, Lily.
Would this then go back to the Board of Supervisors for their approval? Is that
Go
my
back to
understanding?
both parties, the Emergency Management Commission and the Franklin County Supervisors.
Mike, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
Mike?
I'm kind of getting my opposed. I assume you were talking to me. No, I think everything that I've provided, or the city manager done provided is pretty well spelled out. We've gone over this several times. I would commend Manager Dunn. I think he's done a tremendous amount of work. He's researched a number of agreements, brought those to my attention. He's also with the city council and in various meetings spent a lot of time trying to make sure that we incorporate what the city council believes is fair and reasonable for the employees that we're going to transfer. One of the things we've done with this is because a lot of these agreements with prior agencies or prior cities that have entered into these things is we've seen that typically what happens is they transfer their employees from the city right directly to this, either to the county or a new agency, so that they are employed immediately. There's no hiring process, it's just transferred from the city to the new agency or the county in this case. So we've tried to do, I think, what we believe the city council wishes to have incorporated in this to present to the county. Whether they will accept it or EMC will accept it, we don't know. We think it's the fairest thing that we've been able to put together so far. If you have any questions whatsoever about the agreement, I know we deleted a whole bunch of stuff because we talked about transferring sick leave and transferring or paying for vacation and so on. And our feeling is that if we require that the city employee be transferred and hired at that seniority where they are now, whatever they have, like if an employee resigned or retired from the city of Hampton, we pay off the vacation. City does not pay for accumulated sick leave, it's just lost upon retiring. But when we transfer them, we're trying to make sure that that same thing happens. They're going to get paid for their vacation, accumulated vacation. Sick leave is out, and they're going to be employed by a new agency, subject to the same seniority they have now, and accordingly will be paid and receive the same benefits. Do you have any questions? Okay, thanks. Thank you.
So I think there's a couple of items to discuss and for the council to decide on then. First of which I think would be whether or not the two sections in blue there. I think Mike and Ron have made a valid point there that those items were initially offered up, assuming the county was not going to offer the seniority and the transferability. thoughts and discussion on those items?
So the employees have two options. Assuming they are hired, that this goes through as far as the sick leave, the half the sick leave, they would have two options, either to transfer it over or to be paid off,
Well,
right?
first of all, with this, with what's being proposed, they will be hired. There's no if,
Correct, yeah.
so, yeah.
In that scenario, then they have two options with that sick leave.
Mike, would you like to address that?
Correct?
Yeah, I would. I think you're mistaken where we are here. The changes we have made, outside of, if you look at paragraph, or page 4, the changes that have been made are basically in yellow, okay? On page 4, there's only one change that has been added in the yellow, and that's that such employee shall be credited by the EMC, okay? That's another part of that entire change that we've proposed in yellow. Anything else in blue
Is already in.
is done, it's deleted.
Well,
So the only
no,
thing we did.
Mike, it can be deleted if they decide tonight.
Correct.
If
But
they
I
decide to
said-
leave it in, then it stays in.
I think what is being proposed though is this agreement modified by all of this stuff in yellow.
Right.
Except for that one by the EMC, and then otherwise it stays the same.
Right.
So, and the stuff in blue comes out.
Yeah, if they direct us to do that.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, that clarifies.
Right. Discussion or questions, thoughts?
Is everyone clear on why we're proposing to remove the blue? Okay. Okay.
I think the most important thing that's being addressed here with the additions is they shall be hired without question. There's not a rehiring process to go through. They're going to be hired and have the seniority that they've already accumulated. And they'll go by the scale of the county other than they max out at 5 weeks as far as vacation.
Well, we'll need a motion to go one direction or the other, so,
Motion on amendments, either to include amendments in yellow, not include items in blue, which I will specify later, but, or include blue, you know.
I'll make a motion to amend with the yellow and to remove the blue.
okay. Okay, so Steve has made a motion then. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I'll go through that here so that, restate that then. So the motion by Steve and the second by Diane then is to amend the agreement to state that effective on or before September 30th, 2013, every Hampton emergency dispatch employee shall be transferred to and employed by the EMC and shall be compensated by Hampton for any accrued but unused vacation by Hampton at the time of transfer. Such employees shall be credited by the EMC with such employees' years of continuous service with the City of Hampton for seniority purposes and shall be entitled to and receive the same benefits, including pay, sick leave, vacation, and insurance or other benefits, and pay as any other county employee in the same manner or similar category having such seniority. However, vacation time shall not exceed 5 weeks annually for any such transferred employee. These provisions shall remain in force and survive after the termination of this agreement for all transferred employees until all such transferred employees have voluntarily resigned, retired, or have been terminated for cause. And then it also removes the language, I'll just read it. Removing the language, any emergency dispatch employee of the city terminated as provided herein, and subsequently employed by EMC shall be credited with 1/2 of the accumulated sick leave certified by the city. City agrees to reimburse EMC if such employee takes sick leave to the extent that the carryover accumulated sick pay is used. Such employee may use sick leave accrued from city first, and when such carryover sick leave is used up, then such employee shall use county sick leave, which that's kind of hard to get through. Each such employee terminated by city and subsequently employed by EMC shall have the option, exercisable within 60 days of termination, to receive monetary payment for accrued vacation prior to said termination, or transfer such accumulated vacation to EMC. If any vacation so transferred to EMC is exercised by employee according to EMC policies, city shall reimburse EMC at the employee's EMC pay rate as certified to the city by EMC. And then city's agreement set forth at paragraph 5B hereof to reimburse EMC for credited 1/2 accumulated sick leave and carryover transferred accumulated vacation pay shall extend beyond the 2-year agreement and bind city until such time as said accumulated sick leave and carryover transferred accumulated vacation of such employees is used up. That would be removed. Okay. Discussion. Go ahead, Mike.
Couple of things. One is that you've also intend to adopt on page 3, under 4P, we have split evenly between the commission, and we've inserted EMC in that change, and also in the next to the last line in that first paragraph, where it again says commission EMC. In paragraph C on page 3, 4C, all of that blue is out. I don't think it was in the original draft anyway. And then on paragraph 3, 5C has not been struck out in blue, but it has been lined out, and that should be stricken also.
Okay.
So as long as that motion would take care of striking everything in blue except by EMC at the very top of page 4 in that second paragraph, starting out, and all of 5C should be amended to provide as in yellow, and 6A as in yellow. I think if that motion is made and amendment made, then once that's passed, and then you pass a motion or a resolution to approve the entire amendment, the entire 28E agreement as amended, we're on the right track.
We'll make reference to those that you brought up in there.
Okay,
Motion.
thank you.
Everybody's clear on the motion? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, Art.
Are these employees going to be covered under IPERS as well? Is that covered?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's not specified in here,
Right.
but we asked that specifically
Okay.
with the county, and they indicated yes.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Everybody's clear on the motions and the amendments? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. We'll have a vote on the amendments then. Harms?
Aye.
Frawley?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Hollenbeck is absent. Davies?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, so then we have the resolution, and that's directing city manager and city attorney, authorizing myself to sign the agreement after it's been drafted. Make a motion to that effect.
I would move we approve the resolution as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jim and a second by Steve, and I'll state the official motion to approve and adopt resolution 2013-10 with the approved amendments to the intergovernmental agreement between Franklin County, Iowa, City of Hampton, Iowa, Franklin County, Iowa Emergency Management Commission for the establishment of Franklin County Emergency Communications Center, directing city manager and city attorney to make such approved amendments to the agreement, authorizing myself to sign the amended agreement. Everybody's clear on that motion and second? Okay. Any discussion? Vote then. Davies?
Aye.
Hollenbeck is absent. Eckhart?
Aye.
Frawley?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Arms?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Thanks. Sorry for all that tongue twisting journey for legalese there. Thank you, Mike, for all your help on that. Next we have ordinance number 339, a third and final reading. This is the 4th Avenue Southeast and 2nd Street Southeast, and ordinance amending Chapter 69 of the Hampton Municipal Code of 2009 by adding additional sections to providing area for limited parking. Doug, do you have any further comment on this?
I have received no other input at City Hall regarding this matter, basically.
Okay. Did you have anything to add?
No, Mayor.
If there's no other questions, we'll call for motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 339, third reading.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Dick and a second by Craig to approve third reading of ordinance number 339. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward with the vote. Davies?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Raleigh?
Aye.
Longebeck is absent. Harms?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Ordinance number 340, again a third and final reading, an ordinance establishing a hotel motel tax chapter 127 effective as of July 1st, 2003 in accordance with the hotel motel tax collection held on November 5th, 2002. Ron, I'll let you make your comments about this.
Yeah, once again, this is to establish this hotel motel tax formally within our code of ordinances of the city of Hampton. Okay, unless anybody wants me to read any more, that's my summary.
Okay. And again, this is not relative to the agreement between the chamber and the city.
Correct.
Okay. If there's no questions, then I'd ask for a motion.
So moved to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Diane and a second by Jim to approve and adopt ordinance number 340. Discussion? Hearing none. Eckhart?
Aye.
Raleigh?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Arms?
Aye.
Longebeck is absent. Davies?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda, approving the previous minutes as drafted from Thursday, May 9th, 2013 regular session meeting. Schedule the next regular session for Thursday, June 13th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in City Council chambers. Approval of renewal of alcohol licensing for La Frontera Incorporated, 209 211 First Street Northwest in Hampton. Approval of renewals of retail cigarette and tobacco permits for Casey's General Store number 1605 at 719 4th Street Northeast at Crossroads of Hampton at 4th Street Southeast, both Hampton, Iowa. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Dick and a second by Steve to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next we have staff reports. Fire Chief Wilkinson is not with us. Police Chief Bob Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. Kind of give you an update on our new officer. We did offer the position to a young gentleman. He has accepted the position. We don't have the signing on the dotted line, so to speak, but his first day to start is May 30th. His name is Tim Olson. He's down from around the Indianola area at this time, originally from Atlantic, and excited to get him on board. We will work on the second one coming up here, and hopefully we can get that taken care of so when July 15th comes, we're able to go on and get them on board also. Still not sure when the motorcycle is going to be here. I didn't have enough time to give him a call today, but I guess it's just kind of a waiting game. He had basically told me the last I had heard was that there was 2 ship dates on it. One of them was last Friday, and the other one was June 3rd. So I'm thinking maybe it's going to be June 3rd because I haven't heard anything. So anxious to get that going, especially on a day like today. We are continuing with the nuisance enforcement efforts. For the month of May, May 1st, I guess, through the 23rd, we've had 15 nuisance CRs, of which 5 are closed and 10 are still open. Of those 10 nuisances, actually there were 7 nuisance letters that were given out, of which 2 are closed and 5 are still open. It seems like every day or every other day we get another one that we need to go and take care of. Not major ones, but you know, they're there. Also, since last time or since Monday night when we talked, I do ask the public, basically with their help as far as parking across the sidewalks. There were 2 individuals that I talked to in the last 3 days about that, and also dialing the trailers down on the streets. Public needs to know that that's not acceptable, and that we need to, basically leave the truck hooked up to it or whatever, or park someplace else other than across the sidewalk. One of the vehicles that was parked across the sidewalk was this morning. It was right down First Street. I just left the house, and he had just moved it as the kids from high school started walking down the sidewalk. So, but other than that, that's about all I have tonight. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Doug Tar?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First of all, and I see Barry Lamos is here, Hampton City.
Hi, Barry.
I received a email forwarded from a concern that Barry had regarding a waste hauler in his alley late in the evening the other night, and Councilman Davies forwarded that to me. Wasn't sure, I just through the emails I did see that Councilman Davies asked some good questions, but until tonight I wasn't sure which waste hauler that was. Councilman Lupensmeyer advised me it was Bell Sanitation, so I will give them a call and get some information from them, ask why they were picking up so late. We really, I'd actually spoke with Chief Schaefer. We really don't have anything on the books that, tell them that they can't pick up late at night, but anyway, that's something that maybe that can be discussed at a future workshop, and we can do that. But other than that, obviously we got a ton of things going on right now. Any questions, concerns, or anything anybody wants to bring up? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda?
Thank you, Mayor. The state legislature approved a commercial property tax bill, and it's a compromise. It's got some, I haven't read the entire bill, but the League of Cities kind of gave an update. It includes a 10% rollback on commercial and industrial property tax with backfill, a reduction in taxable valuation growth from 4 to 3%, new multi-residential property class, and an exemption for certain telecom equipment. There are positives and negatives to the compromise. The new multi-residential class, which rolls back the current commercial taxation to residential levels, will impact revenues in cities with apartment complexes much differently than a city without multi-residential dwellings. This has a more solid backfill than the governor's proposal. Lesser reduction in taxable valuation growth from 4 to 3% instead of the earlier proposed 2, a smaller commercial and industrial rollback, and a Main Street tax credit. However, cities will have to deal with the downward pressure on city revenues due to certain provisions of this legislation, and such a reduction in taxable value growth from 4 to 3% in multi-residential and telecom provisions. So we're just going to have to, there's many variables to it, and of course local valuations are going to have an impact on it as well. I think our valuations, we're going to see some reduction in some residential, maybe some increase in commercial, but it's going to be hard to estimate what the final impact will be. But I'll keep you up to speed as I hear information that we can maybe relate to local impact. I got a call today from Doug Prolly. He has indicated that the Summerfest Beer Garden, I don't know if you recall, but they got their plan approved for the beer garden at Summerfest in Van Schelt Park. Red Moose was going to operate the beer garden. They have pulled out, and so now Doug Prolly is going to be spearheading the beer garden operation. I told Doug that I think that's okay. It's just that he should resubmit a plan, a layout for his beer garden. I'm sure the chief's going to want to look at it, as well as the council will have to approve that too. So he's going to work on that and submit it. As soon as I get it, I'll put it on a council agenda. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Council reports, Diane Prowler.
I just want to say congratulations to Jennifer Healy for the Volunteer of the Year Award. And June 4th is the first Tuesday on the town. The Senior Center is going to be doing a fundraiser, serving food, and the band will start at 8.
Dick Lukensmeyer.
Do I have any minutes left?
I don't think so, but you can go into depth for next meeting.
I did receive a call from Butch Ruelke, concerned because in his new location on Highway 65, there are 2 spots that are grass/dirt/mud. That's very difficult in a business operation like his. He's making no progress whatsoever with the deal with the state to get permission to concrete those 2 spots. So he's had several contacts, don't know who with. I asked him to provide those, but what he'd like to do is just, there are 2 spots here that, with the nature of the business, they're continually driving over what's supposed to be grass, and it's dirt, it's dirty,
Well, I think what Councilman Lukensmeyer's referring to is Butch and I had met previously about this issue. He wanted more curb cut at different angles at that intersection, and that state's right away, so the state controls as we
He
dealt
didn't say
with.
anything about curb cuts to me.
Okay.
These are just the flat surfaces that
Oh.
are supposed to be grass.
Oh,
But when you drive over them, the grass is dead and now it's mud. He didn't mention anything about curb
Oh.
cuts to me.
Okay, the issue that I had, or not issue, but the discussions we had, and we brought down someone from the DOT was curb cuts.
Okay.
As far as the city goes, we've had numerous businesses along those areas that have just put concrete, up to the curb in those areas. So I don't know that we would have an issue with that, but I don't know what the DOT's opinion is, so.
Okay.
But from the city standpoint, we wouldn't have an issue with that.
Okay.
The curb cut is a different story, so.
Would you contact him?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. Report as far as the Hampton Tree Board. I'm glad to report that the project for the year is done. Harriman Park, there have been 14 trees that have been planted. Hackberry, American linden, sugar maple, river birch, walnut, and oak. And they're all fenced and protected from any kind of destruction from mowers or kids or whatever. And at the 12th Avenue site, which I'm not sure what we're calling that site, someday we'll name it, I guess, but going toward Beeves Lake on the south side of the road, just before you go outside the edge of town, there are 43 new trees there: Norway spruce, Black Hill spruce, white spruce, red cedar, and that was all accomplished with about a little bit over 100 hours of volunteer help. So take advantage, go take a look at the new plantings. I think you'll like them. Enjoy the weekend.
Jim Davies.
A couple things. Ron, I'm glad Doug probably called you because I know at the last chamber board meeting they had talked about that, and I recommended that either the chamber or somebody needs to come back to City Hall, City Council to make sure that we're all on the same page knowing what's going on. I didn't necessarily think there'd be a problem, but they would need to address if they're going to change like the layout of that beer garden area or so forth. So I'm glad they called. And also I attended the Main Street Awards on Friday the 17th, and the Hampton Band Shell received an honorable mention as the best public improvement project in the state. So we have a little certificate here. Give that to the mayor. And then the chamber received first place. Chamber Main Street received first place in the promotion category. Their buy one local product, and the product that they picked was toilet paper. And they had a little display there, and it really made a difference. I mean, it really caught everyone's attention having the product that they chose to emphasize the importance of buying local. And I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Steve Hunt.
Well, I just wanted to further point out when we were just talking about budget amendments, not being able to afford this or that, that's a prime example because you never know what the state's going to change. And they can change it quickly. Other than that, Dick stole the rest of my minutes, so I'm done.
Okay. Val is absent. Craig.
I had 2 received email about late garbage pickups, and so I said that I would pass it on, and it's already been brought up, so I don't have to worry about it. I'd like to wish everybody a safe and happy holiday weekend. Be careful driving, spend time with your families, remember our veterans and your loved ones. I think it's very important to take part of the weekend. Good job, Jim. Thank you, Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay. My mayor's report, I have to appoint a council representative to Franklin County Tourism Board. I'd like to appoint Diane Prowley. Do I need a motion on that?
Sure.
Okay, we'll just.
Oh, I would move Diane be appointed.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, is there discussion? Probably not from Jim, other than hallelujah.
I'm already on it, so.
Yeah, okay, now that business is done. A couple of other items.
Did they vote?
Yeah, they voted.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's unanimous.
No,
It
last second.
got reversed when Jim came playing. I'm part of the hiring committee for the Emergency Management Commission. We'll be interviewing 3 candidates for the Emergency Management Coordinator position. That'll be on Tuesday night. Last week we met and we narrowed the field of 11 or 12 down to 3. So we'll be doing that next week, and hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be able to introduce a new Emergency Management Coordinator. So that's exciting news.
Are they public, those names public knowledge at this point?
I don't believe so at this point. Okay. If they are, I can check on it and we can certainly make them public. But I'm not sure at this point. Wanted to mention congratulations to the class of 2013 graduating last week. Good luck to Rochelle Orr. Her send-off reception was this past Sunday. I was unable to make it, but I did send her a message and let her know that the city's proud of her, and we wish her the best of luck in representing the city of Hampton and the state of Iowa in the Miss USA pageant coming up. And I'm glad you mentioned the band shell, Jim, because I had a conversation with a gentleman from Sully, Iowa, who was at Liberty Fest last fall, and he talked about how much he liked the community and things like that, and how much he loved the band shell. Well, he snapped some pictures of it and took them to some of the leaders there in Sully, and they're planning on constructing a band shell similar to Hampton's band shell. So I thought that was a neat little story, and hopefully they're able to pursue that and get that done. That'll be a nice story to have. So that's all I have. If there's nothing else, I'd call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Never. 7:27.